Welcome to Calm Down. Over the past 2 weeks, we learned that mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and without judgment to the unfolding of experience moment to moment. A definition by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, who has pioneered bringing mindfulness into mainstream Western medicine. We also learned why we might want to practice mindfulness. Namely, its many potential benefits to both physical and mental health. I'm Dr. Catherine Phillips, and this week, as well as practicing mindfulness meditation, we're going to explore how to establish your own personal mindfulness practice in order to experience the many potential benefits of this practice. We can bring mindful awareness to just about anything we do. I'd like to invite you to join me as we bring mindful awareness to the process of eating, something we often do in a hurry and without really paying much attention to. So we're going to take a pause in a moment for you to find some small morsel of food that you have handy, perhaps a piece of fruit or a vegetable or a piece of bread. Anything edible would be fine. So hopefully you found a small piece of food and you could simply hold it in the palm of your hand as I'm doing with this small piece of what's actually a cookie. I'd like to invite you to bring beginner's mind, meaning to approach this as if you have no clue what it is. You've never seen it before. So as if you're either a baby approaching it with fresh eyes or you're from outer space. And we'll start by examining this little thing visually, noticing whatever there is to be noticed. Perhaps noticing shape, contours, visual texture, colors, light, shade. There may be slightly different aspects to it. Different sides may appear different. And now, if you'd like, you could use both hands, and we're going to explore this little thing with the sense of touch. Bringing the full focus of your awareness to the sensation of touch. Noticing roughness, smoothness, dryness, moisture, stickiness, whatever is present. And now exploring it with the sense of hearing, lifting this little object to your ears. Perhaps squeezing it a little bit between your fingers and noticing whether any sound is created. Now exploring it with the sense of smell. Perhaps there is no smell. Perhaps there's a surprisingly strong smell. Perhaps it's pleasant. Perhaps it's unpleasant. Bringing your full awareness to this experience. And now let's move this little object just up to your lips without putting it in your mouth. And notice what, if anything, arises. Perhaps anticipation, perhaps salivation, perhaps already on automatic pilot you've popped it into your mouth. And just noticing if this has happened, what a natural thing this is to do. And now placing this little object between your lips. Noticing any tendency to want to eat it, to want to bite down on it, just holding it and noticing the internal reactions that arise. And when you're ready, moving the little object right into your mouth, but refraining from biting down on it. Noticing what your mouth does with this little object. Perhaps noticing texture, flavor, perhaps variations in flavor in different areas of the mouth. Reactions to this object, perhaps reactions of like, of dislike. And now placing this little object between your molars and slowly and intentionally biting down on it. Noticing what happens, perhaps a burst of flavor, the object disintegrating. And continue to allow your mouth to do whatever it wants to with this object, bringing awareness to the process with openness and interest and curiosity. Being fully present to what is happening. Notice what the tongue does with this little object. Perhaps it moves it around the mouth. Noticing perhaps how the tongue moves little bits of the object toward the back of the mouth, and the automatic swallowing reflex that occurs to carry little bits down to your stomach. Continuing to allow your mouth to do what it would like with this little object until there's none left. And perhaps noticing how the mouth may tend to move around the teeth to pick up little bits and carry them to the back of the throat. And when you've finished eating the little morsel of food that you had, tuning in and just seeing if you can get a sense of, or even imagine, what it feels like to be one tiny morsel of food heavier. So let's reflect for a moment. What did you notice during that exercise? Perhaps you noticed how difficult it may have been to let go of preconceived notions, judgments, assumptions, connotations to this little morsel of food that you had in your hand. Perhaps you noticed reactions to the food, to the exercise. Perhaps there were surprises. Sometimes people find when they eat something mindfully that the experience is actually different than when they eat it normally. That the food might feel more textured, the taste more vivid. Perhaps even getting more enjoyment out of one tiny morsel than one might for a whole meal that we eat in a regular way. And I'd like today to also introduce you to mindful walking. In mindful walking, we bring mindful awareness to another process that we do automatically without giving it much thought most of the time, the process of walking. I'd like to suggest that to do this walking meditation, you start out in an upright standing position with your weight evenly distributed between the soles of both feet. If you care to, you could take off your shoes and socks to give you a better sense of connection between the soles of your feet and the floor or ground. Let's pause as you tune in to the sense of your body standing here. Feet on the ground, weight evenly distributed, with focused awareness, lifting the other leg. And the leg will automatically begin to move ahead in anticipation of walking, and then bringing awareness to placing the foot on the ground. And then once again, a shifting of weight occurs to the leg that's just been placed on the ground, say the right leg, for example. Lifting of the left leg, and it moves ahead and placing it on the ground. The last touch of the foot against the ground as you lift it, and the first connection of the foot with the floor or ground as you place it. You may be aware of the shifting gradient of pressure between your foot and the ground. You may be aware of all the little muscles of the feet and ankles and lower legs shifting and adapting to help you keep in balance. And you may notice just how difficult it may be to balance when you slow your walking down like this, especially if you're walking on the grass or outdoors. Experimenting also with turning around, bringing full awareness to the placing of your feet, the turning, the shifting of weight. If you're interested in reaping the benefits of mindfulness practice, you'll likely want to start your own daily practice. You can do this in a number of ways. First of all, set aside daily time in a space where you won't be interrupted. You could practice with any one of the number of CDs that you can purchase in stores or freely download off the internet. Or you might choose to practice on your own in silence. When starting a meditation practice, it's actually easier to start with a CD, as the voice on the CD reminds you to return to the present moment when your mind has wandered. If you decide to start on your own in silence, you might start with as little as 5 to 15 minutes a day, and when you become proficient at this, gradually increasing up to anywhere between half an hour to an hour a day. As today's program ends, I'd like to invite you to bring your full awareness to the sound of the bells, aiming your attention for the sound, sustaining your full attention along the sound until the sound dissolves and disappears. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me again next week. This is Catherine Phillips on Mindfulness on Calm Down.